Again, thanks. And just to make sure, if it's all right, I'll just be the timekeeper and I'll put those times in the chat. So I don't want to distract you, but sometimes it's good to get a reminder when you're rolling. So I'm again Josh Montgomery. I'm a former public school classroom teacher, but now I instruct educational methods at the University of Wyoming. Here's an image for those of you who are in warmer climates. It's 70 today, but it's supposed to snow tomorrow. So our context for this work was an elementary methods class with 25 students. We tasked them with creating a collage and corresponding artist statement, answering the question, what is democracy? As a modeling, we intended this as a modeling exercise for their future practice. So the idea being that once they'd gone through this process, they could take it into their classrooms. So the work, I collected their collages and artist statements and qualitatively assessed them based on a reading of literature themes. And these surrounded art, democracy, and then art in democracy. I then cobbled together a lens for interpreting their work through Stanley's dichotomy of transmission or transformation in terms of education, and then also Westheimer and Kahn's citizen engagement model. And this incorporates the personally responsible citizen, the participatory citizen, and the social justice-oriented citizen. So what did this reveal about our pre-service teachers? Students almost universally struggled to conceptualize democracy. Two, they had to mediate and translate existing symbols in order to capture their ideas. They also expressed a shallow conception of democracy, perhaps most evocatively in the ubiquity of "I voted" stickers. These appeared across all of the collages. But also what was interesting was what it revealed about us as teacher educators. So we use this as an opportunity to question our own goals in a task like this, and eventually whether it was appropriate to use the language of art to answer questions related to the shared space of democracy. This then led to questions related to whether art is an appropriate tool to uncover democracy. Is it too radical? Or ultimately, is expression through art the only way to capture something as incomplete and at core controversial as democracy? It's yet unrealized, and thus sense-making through a nebulous medium like art eventually felt right. So then we also tried to determine what we can learn in order to be better teacher educators. And through this, and especially by interacting with our pre-service teachers, we were able to achieve something of praxis. They learned something, and we learned something about them from them. So we desired to model a strategy that teachers could bring into their classrooms as an accessible mode for their future students to approach complex ideas like, for example, democracy. This was less simple than it appeared at first, and the resulting work uncovered some interesting aspects of pre-service teacher thinking about democracy, and also the utilization of art. And this led us to questioning the approach, even if ultimately we decided that it has some value within our classrooms. So again, praxis, we can certainly re-emphasize that we have a lot to learn from our pre-service teachers. And so there's a real opportunity here when we provide space for building shared meaning. We can interrogate why we choose what we decide to bring into the classroom. And so this sort of mirrors the type of deep critical reflection that we request of our pre-service teachers. We ask questions like, why am I bringing this particular pedagogical practice into the classroom? Is it because we always have, or is it because it works? Art is not a simple strategy to allow low stakes entry into the fraught terrain like democracy. Instead, it is a core form of human expression, one that is also fraught. In a conflict over street art versus gallery art, we uncovered the aspect of punk applications, the notion that to work with art is necessarily a mode of challenging power, and that in the classroom, We were the representatives of that power. In short, we can't use art to uncover democracy. Instead, these are inextricably woven throughout our culture, and we and our students jump into deep water when negotiating this terrain. Finally, in a statement that should surprise no one, we need to rethink civics education. Instead of the standard government light approach, which incorporates sort of this idea of rights and responsibilities, pay your taxes, shoot your guns, serve, mow your yard. We need something that emphasizes the connections that enable a culture to sustain itself. Instead of isolated individuals, we need communities of people willing to work together with the skills to solve problems. And so thank you for the attention. I think maybe that went way faster than I anticipated. So, but I am excited to sort of share ideas and looking forward to some more presentations after mine. And I think we may have time for questions. If not, we can certainly address any questions towards the end.